guys, and welcome back to my shelf. Long time no see. I'm really sorry for not posting for 2 weeks on this channel. I have just been so busy with college and my exams are coming up in June, but I have found some space to film this and tomorrow's video as well. I have been really busy with college and this is why I can no longer stick to a schedule or anything like that, so there won't be regular uploads on this channel for quite a while. My reading has really slowed down as well for this reason, because I feel guilty when I'm not revising. And I know that sounds really bad and horrible, but it is the facts of the matter. But I managed to read quite a lot this month, purely because there was a readathon at the beginning and there's a vlog for that which I'll leave in the description or linked in the iBar. If you didn't know, I do have a main channel, Shack Attack, which is always linked in the description box below, just like this channel is linked in the description of those videos over there. I do post every week on there. As I said in multiple videos, this channel doesn't take priority in my scheduling because I want to post on my main channel. This is just a side channel, so there we go. I know that was a really long-winded intro and an apology, but I had to get that out there. I feel like I say that way too much on this channel, and one of my New Year's resolutions is to post more on here. So hopefully from here on out, we're going to be posting a little bit more. But if I don't, then please don't take it to heart. So this month has been quite a slow reading month for a month. I know that you won't possibly believe that once you see the pile, but there are some reasons why this pile is bigger. This pile would only be 2 books long if I hadn't done the readathon. So these are the books I have to talk about this month. There are 7 of them, and I read 2 outside of the readathon and I read 5 inside the readathon, which again you can go and check out in my vlog, which will be in the description and the iBar. But I'm going to be talking about these 7 books and why I liked some of them and why I didn't like others. The first book I managed to read outside of the readathon in March was Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This has a movie coming out in April. I think it's about April the 4th or something. It's in April and I really want to go and see it. So if you didn't know, Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli follows our protagonist named Simon and a few of his friends from school. Simon, as we see in the book from the very first page, I'm pretty sure, Simon identifies as gay. And he's trying to find out who he is and how he can portray that to his friends and his family and people online and all that good stuff. He's currently emailing back and forth with Blue. He has no idea who Blue is. Blue has no idea who he is, but they both know they both go to the same school. Simon doesn't really realise he's falling for Blue, but then as he starts emailing him more and more, he falls for him, and it's so cute, and he's trying to discover who Blue is while dealing with a lot of things surrounding the emails and surrounding his friends at school. This is a really good coming of age novel that LGBTQ+ kids and young people don't really get, so I was really skeptical but joyous when I found out about this, because Becky Albertalli is straight, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe Becky is straight. So a straight person writing an LGBT, love story was a little bit wrong in my mind when I picked it up, when I started hearing about it. But as soon as I read it and I got my own opinions, I was proved completely wrong. I enjoyed it so much that I gave it a whopping 4 stars on Goodreads, and I just really enjoyed it. It was cute, it was fluffy, and exactly what the LGBTQ+ community is looking for. If you don't enjoy fluffy love story contemporaries and you're in the LGBTQ+ community, that is a lot to say again and again, I think you'll still enjoy this because it's the kind of story that we're looking for as a community. We don't want all of this representation of like lesbians are represented as, breaking up marriages and being promiscuous and sexualized, and gay men are often flamboyant and really like typically gay, stereotyping in camp. But I don't think arguably anyone in this book is like that, and I think that Becky got it really well. Sneeze! The one thing I had to say criticising this book, which is why I didn't give it a 5 stars, because of the email situation. No one uses emails. That's literally the only problem I have with this story. As a young person, I know that if I was trying to communicate with someone, my emails would be the last choice. Maybe I'm nitpicking, maybe this is just me being a little bit of a bitch. If this story was put into a real modern day, context in real life, they wouldn't be using emails. And that's something that really annoyed me throughout all of the book. Just no one uses emails, I'm sorry. So the next 5 books are from the readathon, and the readathon by Zoe. I have a vlog, as I said, about 3 times now. you can go ahead and watch it. It was my last upload. The second book that I read and the first book that I read in the readathon was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. As you can see by my face, I really enjoyed this book. It was just the book for me personally. I loved it so much. Before I get into my personal opinions though, this book, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, is about a boy called Wade who is living in the Oasis. He's obsessed with video gaming and it's like his whole life. Literally, he goes to school online in the Oasis and I was just so mind blown because I can see it happening. So the founder of the Oasis, I think he's the founder, he's like one of the creators anyway. So one of the creators of the Oasis has died. Since he has passed, he has gone into the Oasis and left loads of Easter eggs for people to and players to like figure out and solve, kind of like little myths and puzzles for people to solve and to gain a prize. The prize for finding the Easter eggs in the Oasis set out by the founder of the Oasis is control of the Oasis and a lot of money. Surprise, surprise, Wade and some of his online friends do try to get the Oasis and they try to find the Easter eggs. I don't know if his motives is to get hold of the Oasis or the money. I think it's just to prove that he's a good gamer, to be honest. Wade is a really good character in my opinion. I read him as a certain way in the book, but some people have told me that the movie, which comes out very soon, which I'm going to see on Sunday, I am so excited! But some people have told me in the movie he is kind of an asshole, which is, I don't want him to be an asshole because Wade is actually one of my favourite characters I've read in a very long time. There are also loads of references to 80s culture and to gaming culture, which I feel like has a really niche audience. I think if you go into this book not really knowing a lot about games or you know a little bit, you'll still get the references because they're quite obvious, but I feel like it does a little bit more for people who are going into this book with the right cultural capital, who are experienced with gaming and experienced with 80s culture. So this book was a really big thing for me. I've heard a lot of bad reviews about this, but it's because I didn't get the references, and I feel like if they had got into this book realising that there was a lot of references in it to things they might not understand, they probably would have been more open-minded because they didn't know that. They was like, what the fuck is happening? I'm not going to tell you what it's about or anything because that's a spoiler, but there's a Blade Runner section, like a whole page, and I'm currently studying Blade Runner, which by Ridley Scott in film studies, and it was a really big win for me, and I think that's partly why I like this book so much. I obviously gave it some 5 stars on Goodreads. There's literally nothing else to say about it. I will be doing a spoiler-free review that will be up tomorrow when you're watching this, the day before I go and see it. It would be so cool. The third book I read in March, but the second book I read in the readathon was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This book follows our protagonist Star, who witnesses her friend get killed in a police brutality incident. So Star witnesses that and she's really traumatized for quite a while in the book, but then she starts to talk about it and she talks to media outlets about it. She talks to her friends about it, especially her black friends, and they all kind of have this campaign going to support her friends. This book was really hard-hitting and very, very, very much in favour of the Black Lives Matter movement, which I'm also in favour in. So reading this book was amazing. It kind of checked my white privilege and I was so ready, like I didn't already, but it really kind of made me think we need more books like this, and how police brutality is a massive problem and institutional racism is also a massive problem too. This book is going to go so far, and I think it's getting its own movie, and I will be the first one in the cinema because it was great. I gave it a 4 stars. I don't remember why I just gave it a 4 stars. There was one reason and I can't remember why I didn't give it a 5. Oh, there was also a lot of filler in it. I think I could just knock down half a star for that because the story was excellent, the characters were excellent. There was one white person in it and the rest of the voices were black or like from an ethnic minority background. It was just wonderful. My privilege has officially been checked by Angie Thomas and I'm not mad about it. The next book that I read in March and the third book that I managed to read in the readathon was Streamology by Lucy Keating. Talking about those 2 fabulous books before it, this did not do so well. So this book is about a girl called Alice who has been dreaming of a boy called Max for like her entire life. I think it's her entire life. And one day she moves school and sees him in her classroom. The boy of literally her dreams is sat right in front of her. So this book just basically follows Alice and Max's point of view. They're trying to figure out why they've been dreaming about each other. They figure out if they can stop dreaming about each other and what it all means. So what I had a problem with this book is it's very fluffy and come on, looking at the cover, I should have probably guessed. I can really see this as being redone, maybe by the same author, maybe by someone else, as a more of a sci-fi thing. Like, I would have loved this to have not been so contemporary and to have been the kind of sci-fi route or dystopian route where everyone's dreaming about things and she's dreaming about this boy, she sees him, and there's like a mystery government kind of thing. I would have loved that with all of my soul, but because it was a fluffy contemporary, I feel like it really ruined it. Oh, we've been dreaming about each other for ages, let's just kiss and fall in love. I would have loved it to have been something like, we're dreaming about each other, what does this mean? Are you working for the government? That kind of thing. I gave it a 3 on Goodreads for all of the reasons above, and I don't wish to talk about it again. The 4th book I read in the readathon was actually picked by people on my Twitter @_shagattack if you would like to be participating in the next readathon that I do. This was picked by people on Twitter in a poll. I picked 4 books and this was the thing that came out of it by a landslide. The 4th book that I read in the readathon and the 5th book that I read in March was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So I had never read anything by E. Lockhart before, and Waverley really doesn't like this book, so I was like, I'm gonna read it. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart is about Candice. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I think that's what the character's name is called. Cannot remember what happened to her in an accident, and somehow everyone's involved and she can't remember anything, but everyone else can. How? There were so many different plot points about this book that I did not like, but you know, we'll talk about that in a second. This book was really good until the end. The ending was fucking horrible. I had no idea what I was reading anymore. It felt like someone had a nightmare and they'd written about it, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was going in a different direction, but then it kind of was like, hey, have a plot twist that you didn't ask for that's gonna make you almost vomit. Oh, okay. That's all I really have to say about the plot. She's trying to figure out what happened to her. She's trying to use clues. And as I said, it was really good until the ending. Like, no one asked for that plot twist. It wasn't very thought through. I feel like it wasn't planned at all. I gave this a 2.5/3 stars out of 5 on Goodreads because the beginning was credible, like I just said, but the ending was absolute shite. The last book that I managed to read in the readathon, but the 6th book that I read in total in March, was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. So this book is about a guy called Charlie who is in school, and he is what would be described as a wallflower because he is very shy, he's a geek, and he doesn't really have that many friends. So this is all about how Charlie is managing in school as a wallflower, and I think I can kind of connect it to social anxiety. Although the book doesn't portray social anxiety in any way, I kind of recognise myself in Charlie and in the characters because he's trying to find his way and he's anxious and he's socially awkward, and maybe this could be a mental health book, possibly. I think it might be, but I'm not going to say that exclusively because it might not be. I don't want to take that damage. There's things about sexuality in here, there's things about mental health, arguably, but overall it is a really good book and it will make you think for definite. It will make you think for days if you enjoy it. The movie is also really great, but I really do prefer the book, I think. Just a little bit over the movie because the movie was okay, but I didn't follow it very well, but this was really easy to follow. It got a 4 and I am just really happy with that. It's a really good book and it had some really tattooable quotes in it, so maybe we'll have to dive back in and search for some. And the last book, the 7th book I managed to read in March, which is the 2nd book that I read outside the readathon. This is getting so confusing. Brief is The Thing with Feathers by Max Porter. I read this really quickly last night. I literally read it in one sitting. I sat down, was watching Friends and read it all in one go. What is this about? Like We Were Liars, it had a really good start. It was a really promising start, and then the ending kind of went a bit shit. How can you have a story in like 100 pages for starters? Also, the cover is really weird. It's like a paperback, but it has like a sleeve and like a dust jacket and stuff. It's really weird, but I oddly like it. Brief is The Thing with Feathers by Max Porter is about a father and his 2 sons who have lost their mother and he has lost his wife. There are a few pages in this book where I almost cried, but it wasn't that good. Like, some of the things really hit me, like their nan is attached to an oxygen machine, and I was like, my nan was attached to an oxygen machine. Things like that. It wasn't the actual story that got me, it was the things that I connected and connotated about the story. I actually don't think this is that good, and I kind of wasted my money. But yeah, I suppose if you're really like interested in deep poetry and stuff, and you can like pick it out a little bit. I feel like on first sitting it's really rubbish, but on like a second or a third sitting you might be able to find some hidden meaning. No time for that, and I want pleasure out of it reading it first time, not the 5th time, but maybe I'll revisit it, who knows. I feel like it was a really good concept but kind of got lost in translation. The crow is a character in it, like, because it says the grief is the thing with feathers and it's got a massive crow on it. The crow is a character, and it speaks, and it was a really cool concept at the beginning, and I was like, ooh, it's like speaking as death. And then it started making noises, and I was like reading the noises, like I was on onomatopoeia, and I was like, why are you making noises? Why can't you just continue speaking? It's a really good thing, you speaking. It's got a 2 stars in my rating system. I was going to bump it up to 3 stars because I almost cried at several parts, but again, that's because I interpreted and read it a certain way. It just left me really unsatisfied. These are all of the books that I read in the month of March. I really liked the top 3, but the bottom 4 were a bit you know, they were a bit But oh no, this one I like this one. I like this one. I also have a review on my channel for Ready Player One on my channel. It will be out tomorrow. There you go. Congrats. You're welcome. What am I saying? I will link that in the iBar tomorrow and in the description when it's out, and I'll make sure so you can see it. Thank you so much for watching. This is my March wrap up. I hope to see you again soon. Bye!
I wanna watch them fly and fly and see them soar up into the unknown. But I feel just like a nerd watching birds, watching me here.